This week, we got a potential PS5 Slim Leak, a new old game coming to Switch and PS4, and more. So let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike and I'm back for Redemption, like 2010's Red Dead Redemption from Rockstar Games. So a lot of you are probably familiar with the Red Dead series except for Red Dead Revolver on PS2, which was a great game by the way. But there was Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, which a lot of people are probably more familiar with because it's newer. The issue is unless you own an Xbox, there hasn't been a way to play the original Red Dead Redemption or the modern console. On PlayStation, you could play it, of course, if you have a PS3 or settle for the streaming version. And on a Nintendo system, well, they just kind of get what they get when it comes to third-party games. But that is no more because Rockstar is putting Red Dead Redemption 1 on PS4 and Switch for $50 for some reason. Now, it's great to have the game be playable on a modern PlayStation and then bring a Red Dead to a Nintendo platform for the first time. However, this isn't a remaster. This is literally a port of the original game and the Undead Nightmare DLC for $50. There's also no Xbox version that was announced, but that's probably because the Xbox 360 version still runs on the Xbox One in the Series X and backwards compatibility mode, and it runs at 4K 60 on the Series X. And since this isn't a remaster, it wouldn't make as much sense to release an Xbox version of the game when the original still runs and is playable on the current system. Now, the thing most people are talking about with this port is that $50 price point that I mentioned earlier, which apparently was so controversial that Take-Two CEO had to comment on it. So Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick basically said that they feel like it's the right price since there's pretty much 2 games included with Undead Nightmare, and it's a great value as a bundle. Now, whether or not a product is worth it is always going to be determined by the person that's actually buying the product. So maybe someone who's only had a PS4 and a PS5 and never got to play it, they might feel like the $50 price point is worth it. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think it should be $50 considering it's a 13-year-old game and it's not a remaster at all. This version of the game is also not going to have multiplayer, so it's technically missing a feature that the original had. I think $30 would probably be a more reasonable price, but I could also see this price going down if it doesn't sell well, or dropping to like $20 or $30 during sales, like holiday sales or summer sales, stuff like that. So I'd say just wait to buy it on sale on the PS4 or the Switch. The other part of this announcement that people weren't super happy about was there's still no PC version. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is on PC, but anyone who wants to go back and play the first one, outside of some nefarious methods, will basically have to go back and play the console version. This re-release to me is kind of weird, but I think having a version that's playable on PS4 and now PS5, their backwards compatibility, makes sense. And it probably wasn't that much work to do a Switch version of it either because it's an older game. But I would have liked to see a remaster of the original game instead of just another port to PS4 and Switch. Considering that they still haven't made a PC version, it's possible that they may still plan to do a remaster in the future, and this is just a quick way for them to make some additional money from the original game now. And you know who else is looking to make some additional money? Valve, because they've started selling refurbished Steam Decks. So Valve announced that they are now offering certified refurbished Steam Decks. So basically units that had issues that they've repaired and tested and are now selling at a discount. Now I will usually buy refurbished, especially if it's from the manufacturer like with the Steam Deck, because it usually has a warranty and they're more likely to take the time to refurbish and test it properly because they have a vested interest in making sure that the consumer has a good experience with their product, especially because they're selling a product that they would otherwise be taking a loss on because it's not a new product they can sell anymore. Now, when it comes to the warranties, some companies offer a shorter warranty like 90 days, but in Valve's case, they're actually offering the same 1-year warranty as they do for a new Steam Deck. The one downside that they did mention is there might be some minor cosmetic blemishes like scratches and stuff on the casing, but the refurbished deck is only worth it if the discounts are good enough. So if we look at what they currently have for offer, the 64 gig is $319, 256 gig is $419, and the 512 gig is $519. So these are actually really good discounts. When I got my 64 gig Steam Deck, I paid $400 for it, and I upgraded the SSD myself, so I spent $70 on a 512 gig SSD. So in total, I spent about $470 to get a 512 gig version, of course, minus the etched glass screen. But if you're just talking about storage, I saved a bunch of money. If you're planning to do your own upgrade with the refurbished one, $319 for the 64 gig is a great value, especially now that the 1 terabyte SSDs that fit in the Steam Deck are being sold for around $100. You could upgrade it to 1 terabyte and only spend like $420. If someone was considering a regular 64 gig Steam Deck at $400 and not planning to upgrade, I would definitely get a refurb 256 instead. The extra $19 would not only get you more internal storage, but it would be an SSD instead of the slower eMMC memory, which matters in things like desktop mode or even file transfers like when you're installing a game. But generally, in the Steam interface, you won't really notice the difference between the two modules, but like I said, if you plan on doing anything in desktop mode, go for the SSD version. The other thing that's cool about this is there's also the potential of them being discounted further during the Steam sale, as the Engadget article points out. Like the regular price Steam Decks for the last couple of sales have been discounted. For instance, the 64 gig has been $360. So offering a little bit off the refurbished models will be cool as well if they decide to do that. Overall, if you can't tell, I think it's great that they're offering these refurbished models, which makes the Steam Deck an even better value than it already was. The biggest knock against the Steam Deck is probably its size. I mean, it's a pretty big console, but you could say the same thing about the PS5. But in Sony's case, they may be looking to change that soon. And that's what we're talking about today in our final story. So I previously covered the rumors of the PS5 Slim. There were basically a couple of different rumors that they would either sell one version of the PS5 that doesn't have a disk drive with the option to buy an external drive, or they would have a new version that would be shorter. Well, this week there was an apparent leaked photo from a Twitter account, GusFan, of what someone is claiming to be a PS5 Slim. And then a little later in the week, there was a short video from a different Twitter account, BWEDev, showing the same PS5. So if the leaked photo and video are accurate, it seems to be a shorter version of a PS5 with a slightly different design for the outside plates. It looks like each side plate may actually be two pieces now, which could give Sony and third parties more options to customize the look. The disk drive on the system does look like it could come off, but as the Game Rant article points out, this may be modular so that they can easily produce the disc and diskless PS5s, but not necessarily for the user to be able to add a disk drive onto like a diskless version of the PS5 themselves. The other thing that's kind of fueling these PS5 Slim rumors coming soon is that the PS5 has been on sale recently. Like I've seen the disc versions of the PS5 for like $450, so it could be them trying to sell out of the current model to introduce the new model. Also, as someone who used to have a PS5, they really do need to make a smaller model. I have the digital PS5 and I still had a hard time fitting into my entertainment stand, which actually has pretty big shelves. For the sake of saving space, they really do need to make a console that's physically smaller. And I'm going to physically move from this space as I bring the video to a close. But let me know what you think down below about this week's stories. Do you think Red Dead's re-release has overpriced? And do you think that we'll see a PS5 Slim this year? Again, let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And always do at least 2 things at the same time.